Everything in America is about race. People say that as if it's an indictment. I hear it as an observation. No, not everything. Gravity still works. The tides still rise. 2 plus 2 still equals 4. But if you're talking about American history, our politics, our neighborhoods, our schools, our wealth, our voting patterns, our criminal justice system, our monuments, our music, our language, our housing, our opportunities, then yes, race has been one of the principal architects of the American story. Why would anyone expect otherwise? Imagine buying a 250-year-old house whose original foundation was poured unevenly. Every owner paints the walls, changes the curtains, renovates the kitchen, adds solar panels, and installs smart appliances. Then one day a guest walks in and says, "Why are all the floors slanted?" Because the foundation is slanted. The answer isn't complicated. America's foundation included slavery. Not as a footnote, not as an unfortunate side quest, as infrastructure. The first enslaved Africans arrived in English North America in 1619. The Constitution was written in 1787, while slavery remained legal. The 3/5 compromise wasn't a typo. It was negotiated policy. The Civil War ended slavery in 1865, but Reconstruction was followed by nearly a century of black codes, racial terrorism, Jim Crow laws, poll taxes, literacy tests, redlining, employment discrimination, and segregated schools. The Civil Rights Act wasn't passed until 1964. The Voting Rights Act wasn't signed until 1965. Listen to those dates again. 1964. 1965. That is an ancient history. That's parents, that's grandparents, that's people still alive. Yet, somehow we're surprised that race still echoes through the walls? Really? That's like watching someone hit a gong and wondering why you still hear the sound. Gong. Here's what fascinates me. When Americans discuss ancient Rome, nobody says, "Why do you keep bringing up the empire?" When Germany discusses the Holocaust, nobody asks, "Can we stop making everything about that?" When South Africa discusses apartheid, people understand that history leaves fingerprints. But America? The moment someone mentions race, someone sighs dramatically. Why does everything have to be about race? Well, because someone spent centuries making it about race. You don't spend hundreds of years writing race into law and writing race into banking and writing it into housing and writing it into education and voting and immigration and military service and employment and medicine and citizenship, then expect it to disappear because everyone downloaded the same streaming service. History doesn't work that way. Foundations don't work that way. Cultures don't work that way. And if you think this is only about dusty archives and black and white photographs, look at the present. Look at the criminal justice system. Black Americans have been disproportionately convicted and incarcerated. Yet, among people later exonerated through DNA evidence, Black Americans are also disproportionately represented. Let that sit for a moment. Overrepresentation among convictions and overrepresentation among proven wrongful convictions. That is not some small historical footnote. That is history still speaking in the present tense. Look at the federal workforce. Black women have historically been strongly represented in federal employment because for generation after generation, government jobs offered one of the more stable pathways into the middle class when many private sector doors were closed. So, when there are large-scale restructurings, layoffs, hiring freezes, or reductions in force, the impact does not fall evenly across every community. You've heard about the hundreds of thousands of Black women fired. Again, the fingerprint is still there. Not because race explains every individual outcome, not because every policy is intentionally racist, but because institutions carry history the way old houses carry settling cracks. And here's the irony. Many people who complain that everything is about race are actually enjoying the luxury of not having to think about it very often. That isn't a moral failing. It's a privilege of experience. For others, race has never been optional. It determined where your grandparents could buy a home, whether your parents could get a mortgage, which schools your family attended, whether your neighborhood accumulated wealth, whether the police viewed you as suspicious, whether your hair was considered professional, whether your name got a call back, whether your history appeared in the textbook. Those experiences don't disappear because someone is tired of hearing about them. Fatigue isn't evidence that the conversation is over. Sometimes it's evidence that you've only recently joined it. Now, if you immigrated to America and you're wondering why race seems to appear in so many conversations, welcome. Seriously, welcome to America. You didn't create this story, but you've arrived in the middle of it. Think of America as a movie that started over 400 years ago. You walked into the theater in act number 4. The audience already knows the characters. The conflicts have history. The plot twists have consequences. And then someone whispers, "Why is everybody acting like something happened before I got here?" Because it did. And because history doesn't restart every time a new audience member takes a seat. Does that mean race explains everything? Of course not. People make choices, cultures evolve, families differ. Individuals are responsible for their own actions. No serious student of history believes race is the only force shaping America. But pretending it isn't one of the largest forces? That's not optimism. That's historical amnesia. Some people hear discussions about race and think they're hearing accusations. Many times they're hearing explanations. Those are not the same thing. Explaining why a building leans isn't blaming the current tenant, it's explaining the architecture. If the floor is uneven, you don't accuse the spirit level of being divisive. You fix the foundation. So, the next time someone says everything in America is about race, don't roll your eyes. Ask a different question, such as, what made race so central to the American story in the first place? Because once you answer that honestly, the real mystery isn't why race still matters. The real mystery is why anyone expected it not to.